Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to the second session of two of our questions and answers on Friday, the last of the week before we enter into our weekend, extended weekend, mind you, because we have a national holiday on Monday, which will be the day, I think, of the funeral of the Queen. Still getting used to the word King Charles. Every time I hear it, it just sounds like we've gone back a few centuries or something. Always used to Prince Charles, what was he of Wales? The something of Wales. It's gone out of my head now. But anyway, maybe Prince of Wales. But it's, whenever you hear King Charles, like I said, it's like you're going into a history lessons and you're learning about the, Tudors or the Victorians or whatever, because it's just such a long time since I've heard the word king. Obviously, it's all my life, and I think she was the longest serving monarch, which is quite a statement, especially since Queen Victoria I was also a very long serving monarch. So it's an extended weekend, mind you, so you can take advantage of some extra rest and get that little bit of decorating that you've wanted to do. Talking about a little bit of decorating that you wanted to do, our next door neighbours are doing some extensions, but my goodness, do those workers make a noise. It's literally as if they're in my room, breaking things down and smashing the attic and whatever. So it's a interesting time. Anyway, just before the break, we took a couple of questions. Two from our young student all the way down in Leicester, and one from a sister who asked the question about a youngster who's gone, unfortunately, into the sale of illegal substances in order to, keep up with his lifestyle, and that's what it is. And I touched upon this just before the break, but also I want to give a shout out to people to get calling in, 01274 214299. That's 01274 214299 with your questions, because as you know, we're not that far away from 8 p.m. and then the calls we won't be able to take until next week, and you'll have to keep that question burning inside of you all those days. So I explained the rationale for why people generally, and more so young people, are now taking risks, we'll come back to that answer. We have somebody who's calling on 01274 214299. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear caller.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Are you trying to make up for lost time or something?
No, basically, yes. So someone in my family is Shafi. So I just wanted to ask about spirit vinegar.
Okay. Spirit vinegar will be the same as white wine vinegar and red wine vinegar. It's just that the spirit is the origin rather than wine. That's all.
Okay.
And spirit is an alcohol as well. I thought you were just making up for lost time because you hadn't phoned in for a while. So you think, you know what, I'm going to be phoning in 5 times today, mashallah. Don't hesitate. If you've got any questions, you just ring, okay? 01274 214299, young man, okay?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good, mashallah, eager with the questions. So, what did we say? Yes, so the issue with regards to taking illegal routes to make money. And I mentioned that in it, lifestyle. That's what it is, lifestyle. So communities before, Muslim communities and other communities before, had more of a religious inclination, to be fair. On top of that, even if they didn't have a religious inclination, they had a communal sort of feel. What will people say? Many of our elders came from villages, and villages are very, very small communities where everybody knows what everybody's doing. That's why you'll notice that when we landed here in the UK, we all went to the same street. So I remember the street that I grew up on. Everybody knew everybody because it was the village, literally, that had been moved and come all the way to the UK. Obviously, now we've dispersed. And now everybody hates each other. So now nobody wants to live next door to each other. Before, obviously, everybody used to live because it was just literally the village, brought all the way back, and people felt dependent upon one another. The social comfort it brought by being next to people that were like you was immense. But with time, with money, we grew further and further and further apart. And now, I met some distant relatives whilst obviously, they say, don't you, that when it comes to weddings and funerals, this is the time you meet your relatives. Otherwise, you don't meet them anymore. And that is the truth. So the chappie whose mother has passed away, he was stood next to me, and then we were talking, and then he said, oh, Mufsa, by the way, have you met these two chaps? And I looked across and I said, their faces don't look familiar. So he said, let me introduce you to them. And he introduced me to them, and he says, basically, cutting a long story short, how close you are related to me, they are related to you. And I said, oh, okay, I didn't know. And I said, maybe they're too closely related. And the man said, absolutely, because when you're too closely related, you're too close and you can't see each other because you're too close. And it's become like that, hasn't it? You don't know anybody anymore. You just, these people that I met, unfortunately, I've never met in my life. And here it was, I was being introduced to them, in my age now. But had we grown up in the village, then we would have known everybody, because the village, we were a society. We were judged against one another. We were held to account by one another. And the Sharia really advocates this, that, as a community, you hold each other to account. So when one person slips, the rest of you kind of, and we had that as well in the early days when I was a kid here in this country. If you were doing something naughty, not that I did, I was such a good boy, but if the other boys were doing something naughty, then an uncle, whoever it was, Chacha, he'd walk past and he'd tell you off. Oh, don't do that. Or I'll tell your dad. And we had this structure of accountability. Now people don't care. It's madness. People will be doing all sorts of stuff and won't bat an eyelid, whether it's fraudulent claims or whatever, dodgy dealings. It's just people just don't care no more. As long as the money is coming in, whether it's coming from a halal source or haram source, people don't bat an eyelid anymore. And that's the situation where that youngster is in, and many youngsters are in. And I think the sister, if I'm not mistaken, mentioned that he's Hafiz of Quran. So, he's been raised in a religious environment. His parents are clearly religiously motivated. Why would they send their child to a madrasa for 4 or 5 years if they were not religiously motivated? They may not practice their religion very well, but they're religiously motivated, whatever their rationale is for being that religiously motivated. But at the end of the day, I don't know why my accent changes when I say day, but at the end of the day, if you choose a lifestyle and you want that lifestyle, and you've not truly understand the purpose of this dunya, that this dunya is there as a test, this dunya is there to take you to task, this dunya is not there to chase after and to try to grab, because it's like a mirage, is this dunya. It'll keep telling you, oh, the water is at the next point. And when you get to the next point, because it was a mirage, it looked like water, but it's just dry sand. And then you look again and you'll see a mirage out in the horizon. You'll say, there's the water. You'll get across to there and there's nothing there. This is the dunya. Oh, just get that amount. And you get that, then it says, just go get that amount. And you get that. And it just keeps pushing. It takes your mind off the fact that this dunya is a short-term thing, and unfortunately, your life is taken. What can you do about it? Oh Allah, I guess the mother of all people and the father can make dua sincerely. And I always say that, tahajjud time, get up and make sincere dua. Support the young man. Try to make him understand that yes, this is a short-term gain. Yes, you can buy the phone that you wanted to buy. Yes, you can, but you're always looking over your shoulder. You're always worried the next knock on the door could be a police officer. You're always concerned. And even if you're not concerned about the dunya, of whether somebody knocks on the door or not, you say, yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't mind. I'll do a few years behind bars. I hear sometimes young people say that. I don't mind spending a few years behind bars. So be it. If it means that I get this, it's a risk I'm worth taking, and even it's a thing I'm worth doing for a couple of years as long as I get sufficient funds. Nowadays, unfortunately, a lot of people who do go to prison know lots of the prisoners that they're going to. So it's not like they're going anywhere where they don't know anybody and the conditions are going to be difficult. They're going somewhere where they know most of the people in the prison. So it's like a bit of a holiday camp. So unfortunately, it doesn't act as a deterrent as much as it should do. But it is what it is. This is the system that has been adopted in this country and other countries, so that's its way of rehabilitation or punishment and rehabilitation. And it's just trying to get inside the young man's mind to say, look, this is not the way of a Muslim. This is not the way of a believer. This is not the way that we should go forward in order to strive and survive and get the true reward. These are short-term gains of no benefit whatsoever. Short-term gains, that's all they are. So Jazakallah khair for that question, sister. I hope I answered it fully. You can take some of the notes from there, or maybe your friend is watching as well, so that she can. Otherwise, it'll be available on Iqra TV's YouTube channel, possibly Tuesday now, due to the weekend break followed by a bank holiday. And so you can share the link. All you have to do is go to Iqra TV. Once you go to Iqra TV on YouTube, you can share the link. And we were just talking prior to this about being slightly cold. I know I've been mentioning a few times now, haven't I? And we know that the queue length now for the to make ziyarah of the Queen is 24 hours long. Subhanallah. I don't know how far back that goes. Question I have is, where do they go for the toilet? What do they do when they need to go to the toilet? Are they working in pairs or something? Do they go like a couple? And then one person stands there, he goes to the toilet, he comes back. You know, or you can see this now. This is live that we're seeing. So King Charles is there. King Charles, I said, it sounds really strange. It's next to the coffin. And we've got people, I'm assuming these are members of the public now coming in. But yeah, 24 hours. And what do you do for food? You know, and that's not King Charles, that's Mufti Amjad. And maybe I should be the next king. I don't know. Please call in on 01274 214 299 if you think I should be the next king. But yes, you know, it's, as I was saying, it's a long queue. 24 hours is exceptionally long. And as I said, the temperatures are going to drop this evening. They already have dropped. Even prior to Maghrib, around Asr time, as I said, we were outside in the cemetery. And that's where the queue is. So entry to the queue is at Southwark Park, Southwark Park. I don't know where that is. Expected queuing time is at least 22 hours. Overnight temperatures will be cold. So you can see the queue there. I've not got let me put my glasses on. That will help. Is it the purple line we're looking at? Yeah, it's the purple line. I'm assuming that's the River Thames. Yeah, so that's the River Thames. And you've got the starting point and the end point. And that's quite a substantial walk. I said, I don't understand, you know, maybe Adil can quickly find out for us in the next couple of minutes, is, you see the glasses come on, is where do people go for bathroom visits, and where do people go? Okay, fantastic. So these portaloos must be stationed throughout the queue. And the wristbands are to, or what? What's the purpose of the wristbands? Ah, okay, so you actually have a position in the queue. Subhanallah. Okay, you might be thinking who I'm talking to. I've been informed that there are portable loos dotted all the way along the queue. And on top of that, when you join the queue, they give you a wristband. And this wristband puts you somewhere in the queue. You know, you must have a number or something. And if you need to go out of the queue to visit the toilet or to go to get something to eat, you just come back to the queue and they must zap you on your tag and they'll tell you, you need to be over there, or you need to be all the way over there, or, you know, 2 miles forward and you need to be there, or something like that. So there must be orderlies, or there must be people managing the queue then that are facilitating this thing. So subhanAllah, it's like a whole, I was just thinking it was like a queue, you know, like you have outside of a shop, but clearly not. So here we've got some last few images before we disappear. And we talked about, you know, showing respect to our royalty, and not only that, these are, you know, this is a grandmother. As much as, you know, we see her as the Queen, we cannot forget her personal touch, which is she is a grandmother to people, she is a mother to people, she's even probably a great grandmother. I think I'm great grandmother to some. And that respect must always be maintained, especially at the time of the person deceased, and even immediately after. So that's that, and that brings today's questions and answers to a close. I thank you for calling in. Jazakumullah khairan to all of you. Some interesting questions, and I hope that I've been able to answer them in their fullest and has left you satisfied. We will be back on air on Tuesday because of the fact that Monday is the national holiday. I, on the other hand, will be with you on Wednesday because my shift starts on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I aim to be with you next week. And the visit to the school that I was going to make on behalf of Al Khair Foundation this Friday has now been rearranged for next Friday, so that's the plan as well, to go visit the local school and speak to the children. I'm assuming it's regarding the Pakistan floods. And inshallah ta'ala, the week will continue as it will, and may Allah put barakah in your week, may Allah put khair in your week, and may He make your week successful. Ameen. See you all next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.